Hey everybody, my name is Roscoe Rainbow, and I guess I'm kind of preaching now, but it's more like intuitively reading the Bible and taking notes. And I'd like to mix in the Christian theology as well as the spirituality, kind of relate the two and see the difference, But I was brought to two angel numbers, which is 222 and 228. Today is September 28th, and I was brought to Luke 22, verse 28. So the signs are signing. I'm also deciding to wear this shirt today. It says Aloha. I went to Hawaii. It's pretty cool, but I also learned that aloha means I see the God within you, so if you're watching this, hello, you probably have some kind of curiosity or some kind of link, because I'm trying not to hide my true self, because I do divination, but I'm also interested in physics and religion and death. So I think I have a good perspective. But I just would like to record these things while I'm talking about it so I can go back at a later date and remember, that's my sign, because I'm also learning quantum physics. So my sign is to stop and say something and record it is 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's get it. But like I said, September 28th, 2024. Let's see what that number breaks down to. 9, 2, 8, and the year 8. That's 10 and 9. 8, 19 plus 8 is, what is that, 27 and 9? Yeah. Okay, so today is 9, and that just so happens to be my life path number, and I feel like 9 really just means closing up those cycles and bridging the gap between the community and the messages between the Most High, is between the messages that the Most High is sending me, right? So in Luke 22, I learned about Judas. The story tells about the Last Supper, I believe. Yeah, redemption will come, advice for the disciples, and yeah, Passover. That's what the word I was looking for. The Passover. P for the Passover. So, I guess the title of this sermon, if it is a sermon or whatever you'd like to call it, what if I told you Judas's spirit is still running from the light? Suppose when Jesus ascended and the 12 disciples were here, it's not even supposed because it's written in the text. It says that he gave the 12 disciples the 12 tribes of Judah, right? And they were all scattered around, but I feel like they were all scattered around, and then generations to come, Jesus said, I'll prepare for you a table in the kingdom that God has given me. Suppose that was Jesus ascending, leaving the 12 disciples to the earth to finish out their karmic cycles, and then he'll come again with that same table. Right? You following me? Jesus isn't going to ascend from a sky as if it wasn't like forever ago. I feel like Jesus is a spirit. His consciousness will be back. That kind-heartedness, that energy of Christ will be back, because the energy of the earth will raise. So if this was the energy of the earth, right? Think of it like I have a whiteboard. Think of it as a single tone. This is the earth, because yes, it is flat, right? So this is the earth. Let's do frequency over time. Right? So this is the frequency of the earth, because come on, like, we're all in hell, right? We know that, right? We're all in hell. There's heaven and earth, and God kicked the devil and a third of the angels out onto the earth to learn their lessons of love, right? Hence why we're all still trying to learn love so we can get the heck out of here. So energy, energy, Christ consciousness over time, right? Christ is no longer here on the earth, right? Think of that as the Christ consciousness that we're all going to be rising back to. And then in 2024 and beyond, because if you follow the stars, there was a dramatic, dynamic, unleashing, releasing energy happened in the new moon of Cancer of 2024, which raised the vibration of the earth. So now, over time, because it hold on, sorry. So now over time, it goes like this. Then it's going to raise again. Like that. But then, as I was saying, with the earth, with time, it's a spiral, so time really goes like this. Time can be measured, but the experiences and the moon cycles of how we see them, the energy of God, that consciousness truly comes from around and around and around. There's only certain times that certain energies can come, and it's lapped around. It's how can I explain that? Yeah, it's warped in time. It's time is a continuum. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not linear. Time cannot just be measured. Somebody just can't wake up and say, hey, it's 12 o'clock. We're going to start 12 o'clock today, and then we're going to do the 12 months and things like that. Like, it can't be like that, because time can't be contained in a way. Like, time can be contained because it could be measured, but we can't, where there's a missing factor. Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm spiraling. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Anyway, time is a whole different thing. I was talking about energy. So the energy of Christ consciousness came. Oh, that's where I messed up. It's time over frequency, not frequency over time. Wait, no. Yeah, it's time over frequency. So as time warps around and around and around and around and around, the frequency of the earth is going to rise. And as Christ is coming back around, then the energy is going to raise and is going to be much bigger, and then it's going to open up the portal, or open up the ability for us to all ascend to go back home, which is the important part, right? We are going to ascend past that firmament so we can go home. Okay, so let's talk about that. We can go back home. Didn't I just say, if I didn't, I've been saying on my TikTok that, so suppose the third of the angels that got kicked out of heaven came to earth to learn a lesson of love. You know what I'm saying? So we are supposed to learn love, raise our vibration so we can get out of here. Our spirits can be unleashed. Who cares about the 3D body? You know what I'm saying? As long as we meet our purpose, which is to ascend. That's the whole purpose of life, is to ascend, is to sit there and be able to talk to the Most High as clear as you can, right? So you can receive these messages, live out your life, and then also give other people the light, like show them the light as well. I feel like the problem with Christianity is they made him into the light when he's separate from the light. You know what I'm saying? He's the man holding the light to God, and he's saying, follow me. And the followers were more of worshiping him in a way, because if you had 12 disciples, actually it was more than 12, because he had women following him too. But of course Christians don't like women, so that was taken out of the Bible as well. But he had so many people following him while performing these miracles, you know what I'm saying, while sitting there saying, okay, look what I can do. I can do this. I can heal you. I can use my hands. I can use my spit. I can walk on water. You can do it too. You totally can. You're so deserving of this that you can do it too. You're just scared. You're fearful. You know what I'm saying? Like, he can read you like a book. Jesus was a bad mamma jamma. You know what I'm saying? He was really freaking cool. But coming back down to the 12 disciples, how come they couldn't do it as well? Do you think that they just didn't have the ability, or do you think that Jesus didn't teach them? When Peter was on the water, which is actually really interesting, because I talk about 1 Peter chapter 2:22, and I said 2:22 was significant, right? Where would I find Jesus walking on the water? Passover meal. Coming from... It's okay. It's okay. Well, is it after the 4,000 fed? Because I just saw that. Confessions of Simon. Where was Jesus walking on water, y'all? Alright, so he fed the 5,000 right here. Things from within defile, feeding the multitude. Was he on the water before he sent them? Yes, wow. Woo, found it. So, Mark 4:39, and he rose and rebuked the wind and said unto the sea, peace, be still. And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. And he said unto them, why are ye so fearful? How is it that ye have no faith? Why are you so fearful? How is it that you have no faith? What do you mean, how is it that I have no faith, Jesus? You're supposed to teach me how to be that. You're supposed to teach me how to love, and be able to be still enough to walk on water, you know? Okay, yeah. How is it that you are so fearful? Why are you so fearful? How is it that you have no faith? They never had faith to begin with. They never knew what love was to begin with. Faith without works is dead. You know what I'm saying? You can't just be yourself and expect your collective to to follow you and know who God is. In the same breath, you can't sit there and give a message and deliver a message without being yourself, without presenting your best self and your energy and your godlike energy, because we all have it. But sometimes we like to dim our lights with all of our trauma. But you can't do that, because as your frequency is low, you're just pulling in lower frequency. And then you're manipulating energy. And guess what? Some people are charging for it. You don't need a building to give God's word, especially every Sunday. It's like school. You know what I'm saying? But instead of teaching people how to receive God's messages for themselves, you're tricking them into thinking that you are higher than them, that God spoke to you so you can speak to them. And that's not true. The point is, how can I get people to ascend? Right? Because let's go back to Judas. There's still those 12 tribes of people. I mean, some people, I guess some tribes, I don't really know much about the tribes, but speaking specifically, okay, even Peter, you know what I'm saying? Because he lied 3 times, and he didn't even realize he was lying. He was just like, oh, dang, my bad. Like, ooh, I just remember what Jesus said, you know what I'm saying? And he said I was going to do that. How he know that, yo? That's so crazy. Like, Jesus is the man, for real, for real. I should have listened. Like, that's kind of backwards, don't you think? Like, no, I just feel like if Jesus truly died at the age of 32, there's no way that all these men and women were following him, and he was the only one that ascended when Christ, when that Christ consciousness was able to ascend. There's no way. There's no way. Let's get back to Judas, though, right? There's bloodlines and generations of cowards who prefer money over love, even still to today. Even I had the spirit of Judas in my heart, because when I got my heart broken, thinking that love was all that I needed, thinking that love was external outside of myself, thinking that love was coming from somebody with a big booty, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's where I was wrong. That's where I was wrong. I knew if I wanted to keep that image of love, if I wanted to keep that reminder that fed into my ego, that gave me certain things just enough, that breadcrumbed me enough just to feel a little good about myself. You know what I'm saying? I would prefer that over truly forcing out my trauma and learning what love is and truly finding God myself. I have no fear in my heart. You know? And I'm realizing that my friends that are following me, no coincidence that they're all Pisces. You know? Pisces are what? The 12th zodiac sign. Bum, ba, bum. The last zodiac sign right before Ascension. You know what I'm saying? And Christ was in the age, or going into the age of Pisces, no? Something like that. Yeah, that's the Ascension, just as we're going into the age of Aquarius. So it's all connected, guys. Whew, that scared the crap out of me. It's all connected. Yeah, it's all connected, just like this is connected to my shorts. I feel like we all have a Christ in our bloodline, and this blueprint, or this New Testament, has pieces of the truth, and we are supposed to find the truth through it. And the spirit of religion is just as ugly, because it has a spirit of Judas in it. They'd rather choose money over love. Why would you sit there and become a preacher and then have a church? You know what I'm saying? Because that's a business. In my opinion, like, my messages come free in a way. I charge for my tarot readings because they're personal readings. You know, I charge for my healing because they're personal healing. But if God has me out, if my intuition is saying, get a drink tonight, I'm going to go get a drink tonight. And right before I leave, it's going to say, grab this book. I'm going to grab that book. And then I'm going to go, I'm going to order dinner, and I'm going to read certain parts of the book. I'm going to scan through it. I'm going to need it. I'm going to heal through it. And then I'm going to pass the book along. That's all the message that I need. I couldn't say, yo, God got a gift for you, or I don't want to let this go. This is my book, or I don't want to cry in front of the bartender, or I don't really like this restaurant. I've never been here before. I don't want that. I use my body as a vessel to give back to God's people that need the messages. I don't charge for that. Do you understand the difference? You will charge for my services, you know what I'm saying? But when it comes to God's message, that's something that cannot be priced. 10% is crazy. That's how I feel. But I feel like people's souls, people's spirits, just the same as Judas's spirit. Even Peter, they were very apologetic. They were like, oh man, like I should have listened, or why don't I believe it? No, Christ, he's the man. Like, we need to be like Jesus for real. And Jesus didn't even teach his ways. So we're just living in selfishness. And if you ask anybody that isn't Christian or came from Christianity, they'd say that the church is nothing but what? Unrighteous people, jealous people, controlling people, because that's the energy of church. That's the energy of religion. That's the energy of Jesus, unfortunately. He was selfish. For example, as I was going through the Bible, I was eating some tuna, right? Because I learned how to make tuna. But I was reading through the Bible, and I kept fighting the urge to pull out my Ring camera and my laptop and record myself as I'm studying. And I was like, that makes no sense. Number one, because I'm in an RV, I can't just waste my battery in that way to press record, you know what I'm saying? And also, why not just record when I'm not trying to study? Because that brings down my vibration, because that's adding a monitor, that's adding a mirror, a portal to other spirits to bring down my vibration. So it's like I had to fight the urge of temptation. I literally had to fight the urge of temptation to try and make money off of this experience. I feel like this is a little different because I'm just post it to YouTube and things like that, but I'm not going to charge for this, you know what I'm saying? I'm also not going to sit here and say I need to deliver a message every Saturday, every first or every last Saturday or last Sunday and all that. I'm not going to do that. This message is free because it's for me, and I'm pretty sure there are people who would want to ascend in the future. So this is how you do it, especially if you have that religious trauma and you're still a little confused on how the universe works and who Jesus is and how all this all works. I would like to truly teach you how to time travel. I would like to teach you how to meet God. Teach you how to be yourself so you can meet your higher self, which is your future self, and help your past self become the best you. Does that make sense? But yes, I was fighting the urge. And then also I was reading in the Bible that this was the Passover where he did communion, where he broke bread and he drank in remembrance of him. And I would just like to bring you guys' attention to the fact that I believe that Jesus is a black man. Jesus is a hoodoo practitioner, and I say hoodoo versus voodoo, but honestly, we're all in the same. It's all magic manipulation, and communion is magic manipulation. It's in remembrance of me. You will remember who I am. I am the Son of God. This is me, and even the God that is explained in the Bible, it's like he has a wrath, but he also is very loving, and we still call God a man. It's still saying a man can still be in touch with his feelings. A man can still have compassion and love, you know what I'm saying? But instead, you're totally dismissing the femininity of the duality, because it's yin and yang. You need both. You need that wrath as well as that love, but they're two separate entities. Okay, they completely took woman out of the Bible. And that's where the selfishness comes in from. The, oh well, this is me, these are my powers, and I'm the son of God. But when you ascend, when you reach through those traumas, you get to that point where you're just like, oh, I am the son of God. And then you keep researching, right? And then you're just like, well, if I'm the son of God and you're the son of God, that means we're all gods. Yes. And then you keep researching and they say, okay, well, if we're all God and God is all one, then we are all one within God. Yeah, we're all God. We're all in existence within each other. They're good, the bad, the evil, the most precious. Like there's all, it's all knowing. It's God. It's the understanding that it just is what it is. I feel like Jesus wasn't healed all the way. Jesus gives me a lion in the jungle, and a lion in the jungle. We'll just say that, lion in the jungle, the sun god. You know what I'm saying? It's just very loud with it, very roar with it. And I feel like even though there's 4 books of him in the New Testament, none of them truly highlight his personal life. You understand what I'm saying? None of them truly highlight his personal life. These are bits and pieces of 32 years, earthly years. If he was truly the Son of God, the only Son of God, his existence should be longer than the Old and the New Testament, because you guys are saying that he awakened when he was 12. He was found into the church when he was 12. So I think that I'm onto something. I think that this is the start of something new. I'm very proud of myself for speaking out loud, opening my throat chakra. Yay. But let's look at these notes. He knew. Okay, yeah. So when he took communion, when he took communion, it says he knew the consequences of someone's actions would lead him down a path of the wages of sin. He was able to receive messages of what were to happen to prepare him for what were to happen, And then when the day comes, he was like, all right, here's what's going to happen. You're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do this. And everybody's like, how do you know that? How do you know that? Because he's going to freaking die. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's prophesied that he was going to die like this. So he was receiving messages of, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. Jesus was talking to his higher self, and he was talking to God, and God was bringing down the prophecies of how everything was going to play out. And he knew it was going to play out because of those consequences of somebody else's actions. If Judas were to never deny him, if Peter were to never deny him, if Judas were to never sold him out, he'd probably still be alive. You understand? So if God brings down a message, look, this is your prophecy, because we all have messages. If you're truly connected to God, you would have received your purpose in life, So Jesus was receiving his purpose through meditation, through prayer. I mean, I'm going to say it, through little psychedelics. You know what I'm saying? He was in the forest for 40 days, 40 nights. What do you think? He was pouncing off the mushrooms. Exactly. So he was enlightened, but ouch. Instead, they worshiped him instead of learning from him. Instead of teaching them, he gatekeeped them, and it's very selfish. And I feel like that's why the Christian community, or Christians in total, run from the number 666. Everybody's so scared of the 666 because it represents the devil, and I think it's because they're too scared to remember or recall that Jesus still was tempted by the devil. Jesus was the devil in reincarnation. Jesus had to come down here on earth because the devil needed a body. No, you catching me? Listen to me. The devil needed a body. Guess what? To forgive. He needed to be forgiven by God. So when you say the devil, when he says in here, like, the devil tempted me, it was truly himself. Light, dark. Duality, balance. He was tempting himself. His old him, his past life was, come on, Jesus. Come on, man. You know they don't need this. They don't want that. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like he fulfilled half of his purpose. Hence why we're still here today. Hence why there's still evil that comes into this world, because all of us did not die yet. Unfortunately, and it's like some of us survived because there still needed to be another wave of consciousness awakened. The prophecy wasn't fulfilled yet. It didn't end with Jesus. It continued. Which makes sense why the message says they led him down a path of the wages of sin, because the wages of sin is death. Karma, cause and effect. Because he gatekeeped, then he was the only one to ascend, and the 12 disciples were just leeches, energy vampires, if anything, paparazzi. Cause and effect. Because he gatekeeped and didn't teach them anything, the effect was they were meant to throw him off his path in a way. They still were unbalanced. He was the light within the darkness. Because the devil was the darkness and the light. So he came back as round two, the Son of God, because the devil was his favorite, no? 666, it means a reflection of our past lives. We need to tap into the Akashic records. We need to be like Jesus, but not in the way that you think, not in the whole kind-hearted, only what they put in the Bible. We don't know what happened in his personal life, just like we don't know what's happening in y'all personal life. Lord knows somebody's personal life going around the church. Lord knows something happening in the church. Everybody going, no. You know what I'm saying? They gatekeep. They gatekeep, and then they don't reflect on the message enough to heal themselves. I feel like the problem with the religion is you need to understand why you were served karma. You need to understand why you were put onto earth. And I honestly feel like we're all here because we got kicked out in the beginning. We got kicked out because of the devil. We believed that earth was more fun or entertaining because we weren't always in our light self. And until we got out of it, until we learn the lesson of love, then we can ascend and come out, because our energy will be too high. We'd be able to dip low, we'd be able to come back to earth if we want to, but I doubt it, because we're going to be, doing other things, having more ability. We'll become energy. But understanding why you're here as a human, why did you have to learn love? Let's look into DNA, let's look into bloodlines, past life trauma, Akashic records, and understand which spirit is holding you back from your true ascension. I said, Jesus ascended without his homeboys. Simon said in verse 33, I will go with you into prison and death. Didn't I just say heaven was hell? And they was ready to go to bat for this Christ, this idol. That is an idol. Same thing in the first 5 chapters of the Bible. There was Moses. I'm looking in Exodus 35 right now. But the first one was Moses, and the way he came down that mountain and yelled at everybody, you know what I'm saying? And he was like, I think it was his cousin Aaron, no? And Aaron was like, oh, well, it was because we had this that the glory of God was able to come. And Moses was pretty much saying, no, it cannot be contained. It does not have to be something. The Spirit of God can come and go wherever you want. If you sit down and anticipate for it, if you sit down and not do anything and wait for it and give it a name and worship it and put all your energy into it, it might shake. That's not God. That is energy manipulation. So I feel like that was the first coming, Something went down in the Garden of Eden and something happened and Moses had to come and then the prophecies had to play out and then Jesus had to come and the prophecies had to play out. And guess what? There's another one on the way. There might be a fourth one. I don't know. We'll see. It's still being written. All right. So as I was reading past verse 33, I said it was about to go down and Jesus gave instruction on what to do. Or did he prophesy his own death by the word of the tongue? By him speaking it out loud, by him saying, you are going to betray me. Somebody in here is going to betray me. I know for sure. Is that him, his magic, his energy being so powerful that he literally got what he said? Because we have to, that's air. You know what I'm saying? That's an element of energy that can be used for magic. So because I think the disciples were so fascinated by him being able to prophesy and see visions and things like that, they worshiped him. They're just like, well, how did he do that? Jesus is the only man that can do that. Oh, he's Jesus. He's the Son of God. But Jesus forgot to mention that we're all Son of Gods and we all have the ability to ascend. Hence why he gave them tribes to live out their lives and preparing a table for them later in life. Go ahead, live your life. You know what I'm saying? You'll see later in life. Maybe it just wasn't their timing to ascend or something like that. I don't know. I just believe that it's no way it was Judas's first time ever selling Jesus for money. I feel like this was his last time. I feel like this was the exposure. You understand? This was God's Spirit bringing the darkness into the light to say, Jesus, look who you got around you. These are your birds flocking together. Does that make sense? Like, if you really had 12 people and you are the Son of God, why do you even are you even reading auras, Jesus? Like that don't even make no sense. That makes no sense. He decided to be the light in the darkness. He was the light surrounded by the darkness. And it was nothing but roaches in that darkness. 12 plus. Verse 40. Jesus's prayer wasn't strong enough. He was like, I hope y'all not going to be bound by that temptation. Guess what, Jesus? You ain't teach them how not to. You criticize them, you judge them. And he's like, well, how is your faith not strong enough? Jesus, you tell me. You tell me how my faith isn't strong enough. I've been following you for all this time and you've been healing people, you've been performing these miracles, but at the end of the day, if I'm the same as you, how come I have yet to access that? How come you haven't healed me? How come you left the demons in me? 666. Reflect. Let's reflect on Jesus. Let's reflect on the behaviors because it's not making true sense. It does not make sense. They are stealing his energy. It's like if we truly write down our contracts before coming to earth, why would Jesus want 12 people to follow him around and steal his energy? It's magic. It's like a popularity spell or something, like a entourage as like spell. That's the only thing I can think of. Just pushing yourself up out of that darkness. You know what I'm saying? Just being that one tone versus raising the entire vibration over time, over the people that follow him. It's magnetic in a way, you know, but it's attracting the wrong energy, probably because he wasn't past his highest potential. You know, he was capped out. He still needed to reflect. There were some things that needed to get through, because again, the wages of sin is death. He had to die. Jesus don't remind y'all of Black Panther? Because I was thinking that when I was reading it, and I was like, this kind of remind me of Black Panther in a way, where he can heal, he can do all those things with that what's it called, titanium, whatever it was called, and he was trying to gatekeep it and keep it for himself and keep it for his town, and the other guy, you know, the cousin or the brother or whatever, was like, yeah, but it could be used towards other people. You know what I'm saying? God's people is everywhere, and why keep it for yourself when you can share it with the world, and we can raise the vibration of, well, they were saying the Black community, but still the Black community. And Jesus was pretty much like, nah, nigga, leave me alone. I got this. And it's like, it's propaganda right in our face to think that that's okay to gatekeep. That God's elements or God's resources were given to us for certain things or like certain people, and that's not fair. You know, we're supposed to share, just like we're supposed to share the earth. So the gatekeeping is not of God. We were supposed to take care of the earth. And I feel like Jesus didn't teach us anything about taking care of the earth. Like, Christians are the most unhealthy people in the world. I'm sorry, but y'all don't believe in holistic healing or nothing. Y'all first to go to the doctor. And y'all first to sit there and downplay any witchcraft or any healing ceremonies because it's not of the Christian Bible. Read through the lines. If you are the Almighty God, why didn't you heal your 12 plus disciples? And why didn't you mention the women? They were all bad people, even to Jesus when it came down to it. Through guilt, they worship because he showed true love. But because of selfishness, he ascended without them. Cause and effect. That's the karma. That's the karma that they're facing. Yeah. It's all karma. And I feel like now with this time warp, because, you know, the planets have like all certain times to come back around and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like whatever time it is that loop back around is just for that Christ consciousness to come back, where that earth needs a reset. You know what I'm saying? Things have to fall, like the Tower of Babel needed to fall, or anything. You know what I'm saying? Just something needed to break. The death of something needed to happen in order for the rebirth to be born. So I feel like the death of Jesus needed to happen in order for new to come. So in time and frequency, Jesus needed to come and go just for this to happen over time in the warp. Does that make sense? Again, I don't mean to be a preacher or anything. These are just my intuitive messages as I read the Bible, and I'd like to record them so it makes sense. But I would love any comments or anything that I just had a vision. I would love any comments that you have regarding this topic, because it is pretty interesting, especially when I relate it to mathematics. And maybe I'll go a little further and talk about death, because I am a death doula, 444 on the clock, meaning there's protection, especially around my spirit and things like that. But there's nothing wrong with death. It's the only thing guaranteed when you bring life into this world. As women, as portals, we are the only way to bring a new generation into this world, you know? So the sacrifice of love is death. So, you know, you love this person, you know what I'm saying? But this person too has to die sometimes, and it may not be physical death, it could be ego death. It may be your way of how you love your child, or your thought of what you think they're going to be, you know what I'm saying? Or, you know, parents have this thing where how they have this idea of their kid wanting to be a freaking dentist, and really the kid wants to be a rock star. Like that's death like that. Like, I study all kinds of it, so this is really interesting. And if you watched, I truly appreciate it. And let's build the gap between the Christian community and the African spirituality community. That way we can all ascend and go home, regardless of who we worship behind closed doors. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, we're not supposed to be worshiping nothing anyway. You know, we're supposed to be worshiping ourselves and taking care of ourselves, because we are the only temple. You know, we all have God within us as humans right here, and we're supposed to follow him right here. Open our heart chakras and follow our heart, because God is within us. So we must do the things that we enjoy and the things that we want, so we can fulfill our purpose. The more we fulfill our purpose, the more we find our collectives and our soul tribe and raise the energy. That way, the people in the darkness is easier to turn to light. Now you have no choice but to be exposed. Okay? Thank you for watching. Aloha.